7 shocking reasons to reject eternal conscious torment. Let's get right into it. Number 7, I call this one the translation error. In modern English Bibles, the word hell is often used as a blanket term to translate 4 distinct ancient concepts: Sheol, Hades, Tartarus, and Gehenna. None of these terms originally denoted a place of eternal conscious torment. Sheol simply referred to the grave or the common realm of the dead. Hades referred to the grave or a place of fiery destruction, depending on the context. When it comes to Tartarus, I will spare you all the Greek mythology. It simply means place of darkness. Gehenna, however, was a literal geographical location, the valley of the son of Hinnom, situated just south and southwest of Jerusalem. Jesus used the imagery of Gehenna to represent the consequences of rejecting God or the finality of divine judgment. It's important to remember that the modern definition of hell, a neither world ruled by the devil where the condemned suffer eternal conscious punishment immediately after death, is a later construct. Conflating these 4 distinct terms into that single modern concept obscures the original nuanced meanings of the biblical text and replaces them with an interpretation that often misrepresents their intended historical and theological contexts. Number 6, misunderstanding Jesus' words. When Jesus spoke of fire and destruction, he frequently used the word Gehenna. This was not a reference to a metaphysical underworld. It was a physical location, as we've already discussed. Because the valley had a notorious history as the site of child sacrifice during Israel's apostasy, it had already been labeled by the prophets as a place of slaughter and divine wrath, while some traditional interpretations maintain that Gehenna was an active, smoldering site used for burning city filth and the corpses of criminals. It must be noted that archaeologists have yet to find physical evidence of a permanent municipal incinerator or waste management system of that nature. Regardless, the power of Jesus' metaphor remains the same. He was invoking the valley's reputation for defilement and judgment by referencing the prophetic imagery of the worm that does not die and the fire that is not quenched. Jesus utilized a vivid local symbol to warn of total destruction and national disgrace, a judgment so absolute that it left nothing behind. He used the known history of that valley to illustrate the catastrophic end of those who reject God's path, contrasting sharply with the concept of eternal conscious torment. Number 5, the definition of eternal, Aionios. The New Testament Greek word often translated as eternal or everlasting is Aionios. Lexicographically speaking, this word comes from Aion, literally means age enduring or pertaining to an age. It denotes the quality or source of something belonging to the divine or the age to come, rather than an infinite duration of time. And let me add here, there are many Christians who don't understand idioms like forever and ever. To properly understand this idiom, I'll give you an example. You took forever to get ready. It doesn't mean that you took an eternity to get ready. This means it took a very long time for you to get ready. Number 4, destruction versus preservation. The consistent biblical terminology used for the ultimate fate of the wicked is destruction, perishing, consuming fire, and the second death. For example, John 3:16 contrasts eternal life with perishing. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. An eternally burning hell requires the wicked to be preserved alive forever to endure the pain. True destruction means they cease to exist, a concept known as annihilationism or conditional immortality. Immortality is a gift given only to the saved, not an inherent trait to all human persons. The third reason, the character discrepancy. God is love and God is just. From a theological and philosophical standpoint, eternal conscious torment violates the core definition of divine justice and love. Infinite, never-ending torture is an infinitely disproportionate punishment for finite sins committed during a brief human lifespan. This is the problem of proportionality. In relationship to God, proportionality is a core theological and philosophical principle asserting that God's actions, judgments, and requirements of humanity are perfectly balanced, fair, and commensurate. For example, let's say one of your children broke curfew. you would not punish them until they were adults or for the rest of their life for breaking curfew one time. The punishment would fit the crime. Shocking reason number 2 for rejecting a conscious eternal torment. It contradicts the victory of the Messianic mission. A universe where a massive portion of humanity is kept alive forever in a state of eternal rebellion, agony, and sin contradicts the promised culmination of the Messianic age, which is the total eradication of sin, the reconciliation of all creation, in a universe where death is entirely swallowed up in victory. Revelation 21 verses 4 and 5. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And our number 1 shocking reason to reject an eternal conscious torment is the truth about the historical origins of the concept itself. The imagery of an underworld filled with specific grotesque physical tortures owes far more to the ancient Greco-Roman mythology, medieval folklore, and literary masterpieces by Catholic writers than it does to ancient Hebrew or early Christian theology. Over centuries, these cultural ideas were systematically mapped on top of the text. The Catholic Church significantly shaped the modern graphic concept of hell by synthesizing biblical warnings with medieval institutional needs and artistic expressions through the rigorous theological definitions of scholastic thinkers like Thomas Aquinas. The Church provided an intellectual framework for physical punishment while simultaneously utilizing art and literature, most notably the widespread cultural adoption of Dante's Inferno, to transform abstract warnings into visceral, hyper-realistic geographies of torture by institutionalizing these images through liturgy, the Apostles' Creed, and as a tool for moral regulation. The Church elevated the fear of eternal bodily torment from a metaphorical theological concept into a central, tangible article of faith that has dominated the Western imagination for centuries. The Roman Catholic Church played a significant and undeniable role in shaping the modern popular concept of hell. While the foundations were laid in earlier centuries, the Catholic tradition, particularly through its theology, medieval art, and its official support of literary works, solidified these images in the Western mind. There you have it, friends. 7 shocking reasons to reject eternal conscious torment. I pray you don't take my word for it, but you go and prayerfully look into these things for yourself. If you've learned something new today, you know what to do. Hit that like button, comment what you've learned below, and share this with a friend who believes in eternal conscious torment to get their thoughts and feedback. Peace. I'm out. I'll catch you in the next one.
I'm dwelling in the secret place of the Most High God above.